The internet is currently on fire with one specific video, and it features Atlanta's most defiant young star, King Harris. But this wasn't your average celebrity run-in with the law. When Gwinnett County Police spotted a camo-wrapped Tesla Cybertruck tearing through the streets at speeds over 70 miles per hour, they had no idea they were about to step into a media firestorm. Newly released bodycam footage reveals a scene of pure chaos. King Harris didn't just refuse to step out of the vehicle. He engaged in a high-stakes verbal standoff with officers that has everyone questioning where the line between law enforcement and harassment truly lies. The tension reached a breaking point the moment officers spotted a handgun on the dashboard and a THC container in the center console. But the real drama began when the King of the South himself, T.I., descended upon the scene. Imagine the weight of that moment. A father who has spent years preaching growth and maturity to his son, now standing on a dark roadside, watching that same son handcuffed in a yellow Pikachu onesie. T.I. didn't just stand by, he went into full protection mode, demanding answers and challenging the officers' tactics right then and there. King Harris can be heard in the footage asking the officers, "Does this make you feel powerful?" A question that has since sparked a massive debate across social media. Was this a case of a young black man being harshly handled and targeted? Or was it a reckless display of entitlement that put lives at risk? In this deep dive, we're breaking down every second of that fateful night. From the high-speed chase and the felony drug charges to T.I.'s explosive reaction and the aftermath that has the hip-hop world divided. This isn't just a story about an arrest. It's a look at a family legacy under fire. Buckle up, because the details behind King Harris's detention are much darker than the headlines suggest. The story truly begins on the morning of April 12, 2026, on the winding roads of Gwinnett County. It started as a routine patrol, but it quickly escalated when officers spotted a vehicle that is impossible to miss. A camo-wrapped Tesla Cybertruck. The truck wasn't just cruising. According to police reports, it was flying. In a zone where the speed limit is strictly 45 miles per hour, King Harris was clocked at a staggering 70 miles per hour. When the police cruisers flipped on their blue and red lights, the Cybertruck didn't immediately slow down. Instead, the pursuit saw speeds climb toward 80 miles per hour as officers worked to close the gap and bring the futuristic vehicle to a halt. When the truck finally pulled over, the atmosphere didn't settle. It ignited. As the officers approached the vehicle, their training immediately kicked into high gear. Lying in plain sight on the dashboard was a handgun. For any law enforcement officer, seeing a weapon within arm's reach of a driver during a high-speed stop is an immediate red alert. The officers issued clear commands for King to exit the vehicle for their safety and his, but King Harris had a different plan. He stayed in the driver's seat, window cracked just enough to speak, while he frantically dialed his lawyer on speakerphone. This wasn't just a refusal, it was a standoff. For several minutes, the back and forth was grueling. Officers repeatedly warned King that failing to comply with a lawful order would result in an obstruction charge. King, however, felt he was being unfairly targeted. In the body cam footage, his frustration is palpable. He argued with the officers, questioning why he needed to step out just for a simple questioning session. "I've never had an officer tell me to get out of the car just to ask me a question," he shouted. The officer's response remained firm and consistent. "Our safety comes first, and there is a firearm on your dashboard. Step out of the vehicle." Eventually, following the advice of his legal counsel over the phone, King finally opened the door, but by then, the bridge had been burned. The officers moved in quickly, placing him in handcuffs. It was a surreal sight, King Harris, draped in a bright yellow Pikachu onesie, being restrained against the side of his high-tech truck. The contrast between the playful outfit and the gravity of the situation was jarring, but things were about to get much more serious. With King secured in the back of a patrol unit, the officers began a lawful search of the vehicle. What they found transformed a speeding ticket into a legal nightmare. In addition to the handgun, they discovered a THC container in the center console. But the smoking gun came during the booking process at the station. During a search of King's person, officers allegedly discovered a pill that was later identified as oxycodone. What started as a heavy foot on the gas pedal had now spiraled into a felony drug possession case. Sitting in the back of that police car, King didn't go quiet. He began a verbal barrage against the arresting officers, mocking their profession and questioning their personal lives. He asked one officer if his home life was okay, or if he was just taking out his personal frustrations on him. This wasn't just a teenager acting out. This was a young man who felt the entire weight of the system was being pressed down on him unfairly. He claimed that the officers were power-tripping and that they were trying to make an example out of him because of who he is. As word spread through the grapevine and reached the Harris household, the tension shifted from the roadside to the entire city of Atlanta. The news that T.I.'s son was in the back of a squad car on felony charges started a wildfire on social media. People began to take sides immediately. One camp argued that King was a victim of driving while black in a high-profile vehicle, suggesting that the police were looking for a reason to escalate. The other camp was much more critical, pointing out that speeding at nearly double the limit with a gun on the dash and drugs in the car is a recipe for disaster regardless of who your father is. But while the public debated, the real story was happening behind the scenes. T.I. has spent a lifetime navigating the pitfalls of the legal system, and he has been vocal about teaching his children to be smarter than he was. Seeing King in this position wasn't just a legal headache for the King of the South. It was a personal failure of the lessons he had tried to instill. The question on everyone's mind was, how would T.I. handle this? Would he come in as the celebrity father looking to pull strings, or would he come in as the disciplinarian? As T.I.'s black SUV pulled up to the scene of the detention, the officers braced themselves. They knew that the situation was no longer just about a traffic stop. It was now a confrontation with one of the most influential figures in hip-hop history. The next few minutes would determine if this situation would de-escalate or turn into a full-blown national scandal. The atmosphere on the side of that Gwinnett County road shifted instantly the moment T.I.'s vehicle pulled up. In Atlanta, Clifford T.I. Harris isn't just a rapper. He is a pillar of the community, a businessman, and a man who has navigated the highest levels of the legal system. But in this moment, he wasn't the king of the South. He was a father looking at his son through the window of a police cruiser. The body cam footage captures the exact second T.I. stepped onto the scene, and you could feel the temperature rise. He didn't come in quiet. He came in with the presence of a man who knows his rights and isn't afraid to demand respect for his family. As T.I. approached the line of officers, his focus was singular: King. He immediately began questioning the necessity of the arrest. You can hear the frustration in his voice as he asks the officers why a traffic stop escalated into his son being hauled off in handcuffs. For T.I., this wasn't just about speeding. It was about how the officers were handling a young man who he felt was being treated with unnecessary aggression. He challenged the officers' narrative, asking for specifics on why King was being detained so harshly. T.I.'s Papa Bear mode was in full effect, and he made it clear that he believed the situation could have been de-escalated without the drama of a felony arrest. However, the officers stood their ground. They pointed to the gun on the dashboard and the initial refusal to exit the vehicle as the primary reasons for the hardline approach. This led to an intense back and forth. T.I. argued that having a legal firearm shouldn't automatically result in being treated like a violent criminal, while the police insisted that their safety protocols were non-negotiable. It was a clash of two worlds: the reality of police procedure versus the reality of a father who feels his son is being targeted because of his name and his lifestyle. T.I.'s reaction was described by many as going crazy, but to those who know him, it was a calculated explosion of protective energy. While T.I. was dealing with the officers, King Harris was still in the back of the patrol car, and he wasn't staying silent either. Even with his father present, King continued to voice his disdain for the arrest. The dynamic was fascinating to watch. T.I. trying to manage the professional side of the confrontation while King was emotionally spiraling. T.I. had to balance being the shield for his son while also likely feeling the immense weight of disappointment. He has spent years on his podcast and in interviews talking about elevating the culture and staying away from the traps of the street. Yet here he was, once again, standing in the middle of a police scene because of his son's choices. The confrontation didn't end at the roadside. As King was transported to the Gwinnett County Jail, T.I. made it clear that the battle was just beginning. He wasn't just going to let this slide as a lesson learned. He began making calls, ensuring that King had the best legal representation immediately available. But the going crazy part of the title also refers to T.I.'s internal struggle. Sources close to the family suggest that behind closed doors, the tension between father and son reached an all-time high. T.I. has always defended King's right to be his own person, but when that persona leads to felony drug charges and high-speed chases, the line between supporting your child and enabling them becomes dangerously thin. Social media began to explode as clips of the confrontation leaked. Some fans praised T.I. for being a real one and standing up to the police, while others criticized him for not holding King more accountable for the gun and the drugs. The irony wasn't lost on the public. King Harris, wearing a Pikachu onesie, a symbol of childhood innocence, was caught up in a situation involving weapons and controlled substances. T.I.'s reaction was a lightning rod for debate. Did he overstep? Or was he doing exactly what any father with the power to do so would do? As the night wore on and King was processed, the gravity of the oxycodone discovery began to sink in. This wasn't just a weed charge anymore. This was a Schedule II controlled substance, a felony that carries heavy prison time in Georgia. T.I.'s crazy reaction at the scene was likely fueled by the realization that his son was now facing a life-altering legal battle. He knew that the mugshot, Pikachu onesie and all, was about to go viral, and the Harris family legacy was about to take another hit. The standoff on the road was just the opening act. The real craziness was the media circus that followed. T.I. had to navigate the fallout while King, almost immediately after being processed, took to Instagram to mock the situation. This disconnect between a father trying to save his son's future and a son who seems to enjoy the street cred of an arrest is where the true drama lies. T.I. was fighting the police, but in reality, he was fighting a losing battle against the image his son was determined to project to the world. The confrontation was a snapshot of a family in crisis, caught between the fame of the King of the South and the reckless ambition of a prince who doesn't want to follow the rules. The morning after the arrest, the city of Atlanta woke up to a mugshot that would immediately become iconic for all the wrong reasons. King Harris, standing in the Gwinnett County Jail intake, still wearing that bright yellow Pikachu onesie, looked directly into the camera with an expression that sat somewhere between defiance and exhaustion. While the internet began churning out memes at a record pace, the legal reality setting in for the Harris family was anything but a joke. By the time King posted bond and walked out of those heavy doors at 8 a.m., the official charge sheet had been released, and it was a heavy blow. Felony possession of a Schedule II controlled substance, misdemeanor willful obstruction, speeding, and a seatbelt violation. The discovery of a suspected oxycodone pill during the booking process changed everything. This wasn't a minor traffic infraction or a misunderstanding about a vape pen anymore. In the state of Georgia, a Schedule II felony carries significant sentencing exposure. T.I. and Tiny now found themselves in a race against time and public perception, mobilizing a top-tier legal team to scrutinize every second of that body cam footage. Their defense will likely hinge on whether the initial search of King's person was conducted within the strict boundaries of the law, but even with the best lawyers in the world, the court of public opinion had already reached its verdict. What makes this situation truly tragic is the disconnect between father and son that played out in real time. Almost immediately upon his release, King didn't go home to reflect. He went straight to Instagram. He began mocking the police, comparing the Gwinnett County officers to Team Rocket from Pokemon and claiming they had to use a Master Ball just to catch him. He even directed explicit, aggressive messages toward the arresting officers. For T.I., who has spent the last few years publicly sounding the alarm about King's behavior, this had to be a heartbreaking moment. On a recent podcast, T.I. candidly admitted that he feared if King kept this energy up, there would be nothing he could do to stop him from ending up in prison. This arrest feels like the collision of two very different worlds. On one side, you have T.I., a man who fought his way out of the trap, survived multiple prison stints, and rebuilt himself into a global mogul. On the other side, you have King Harris, a young man born into immense wealth and privilege, who seems determined to retrap himself to prove his street credibility. The craziness of T.I.'s reaction on that roadside wasn't just about the arrest. It was the frustration of a father seeing his legacy being dismantled by the very lifestyle he tried to save his children from. As the case moves toward a court date, the legal strategy will be intense. The Pennsylvania versus Mims Supreme Court ruling, cited by the officer at the scene, gives police broad authority to order a driver out of a car, which makes the obstruction charge difficult to fight. The gun and the drugs remain the primary hurdles. If King's legal team can't prove the oxycodone was a legal prescription or find a procedural error in the search, the young rapper could be facing a turning point that a Pikachu onesie can't fix. So, what is the final takeaway from this chaotic night in Peachtree Corners? It's a stark reminder that, in the eyes of the law, your name only goes so far once a firearm and controlled substances are on the table. T.I.'s arrival at the scene showed the world that he will always be the first line of defense for his family, but King's social media antics after the fact show that a father can only protect a son who wants to be saved. This incident has left the hip-hop community divided. Is King Harris a victim of over-policing? Or is he a young man spiraling out of control while his father watches in helpless frustration? As we close this chapter, one thing is certain. The King of the South is facing his toughest battle yet. Not in a recording studio or a business meeting, but in a Gwinnett County courtroom, fighting for the future of a son who is hell-bent on making his own way, no matter the cost. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Was T.I. right to confront the officers? And do you think King Harris will finally take this as a wake-up call? Or is this just the beginning of a much darker story? Stay tuned, because in the Harris family, the drama never truly stops. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think King Harris was actually harshly handled and targeted because of his name? Or was this a much-needed reality check for a young star spiraling out of control? And what about T.I.? Did he handle that situation like a protective father? Or did he overstep his bounds with the officers? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We're reading every single one of them. If you found this deep dive insightful, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on. You don't want to miss our next breakdown of the biggest stories in hip-hop and celebrity culture. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.